Is Linda Talaferro, and it is, yes, my favorite time of the week. And unfortunately, I'm very late tonight. I apologize for that. Having some difficulties with this um, process that I use with Restream. For some odd reason, it wasn't allowing my laptop to access my camera. So we're going to fix that at a later date. But I am not going to miss any time that I can come on and share with you critical information like we've been talking about over the past several weeks of making sure that you're fully prepared and aware when you're having these performance reviews. And the last couple times in the past sessions, we've talked about the importance of feedback, the value of making sure that it's quality feedback. But if you're dealing with the situation right now that you have unfortunately, gotten that feedback, you thought that you were going to be ready for that next level promotion, and it didn't happen. Yet again, it did not happen. I mean, I can't even imagine. Well, yeah, I can imagine that if you're like me, you're like, what the world? I've got the certifications, I've got the degrees, I've done all the preparation, I've even hit home runs. Every single time they give me an assignment, I hit home runs. Yet, for some reason, I'm being passed over. For some reason, I'm being passed over. And I cannot figure out why, yet again, I'm passed over. Now, I went on a little early the other day on this topic because I've gotten so much information on it. So I went on live early on this topic, and I definitely wanted to revisit again on my normal Being Brown at Work Live because it is so critically important. We get into this spiral, this downward spiral, and it continues to repeat for us. And here is the missing link. Here is what's going to be different from you going forward than it has been before in the past. The difference is going to be that instead of being focused on all those home runs, instead of being 100% focused on all those things that you're doing, you're going to now figure out what has happened. What is the gap? And I am here to tell you that I can bet you that your gap is the same as my gap was years and years ago. I wasn't showing up. I wasn't being. The being part of me completely was not my focus because I didn't come to work for that, is what I thought. And I had not made that connection. And I know when you guys hear this, you're going to say, here she's saying it again. She said it to me the other day. She says it to me every time she comes live. Yes, I'm going to repeat this until I'm blue in the face. It's going to take a lot for me to be blue in the face, but I'm going to repeat this because who you are personally is who you are professionally. You have got to make that connection. You've got to make that connection. And I guarantee you, if you start to peel that back a little bit, you'll uncover why you might yet again have been passed over. How are you getting in your own way? That's the key. How are you getting in your own way? Could it be, for instance, my issue, right? Bullied as a young kid, uh, broken home, parents divorced, really strict mother. So, being bullied, I didn't want to be seen, kept my head down. I really didn't want anybody to know I was in the room because it was so painful, right? So I just decided, hey, let me just be really good at what I do. Nobody needs to really pay attention to me. Therefore, I didn't have to worry about being thought of negatively, being whatever, I associated with that same feeling I had when I was a kid. I'm telling you, it's the exact same thing. And when I recognized that I was doing that in my professional life, I was hiding. I didn't want to be seen. I didn't see the value in my voice. I didn't really like who I saw in the mirror for a lot of reasons, right? Bullying being one, having a lazy eye being another, right? So therefore, I didn't show up. I didn't do any of the extra stuff that I should have done in order for people to really get to know me for me, right? And my value, and really show up socially aware, self aware, building relationships, all those things that I tell you on a regular basis needs to be done. I was not doing them. And I guarantee if you do your self-assessment and peel back that onion once you're done dealing with the fact that you're passed over again, you're going to find that there's some connection there as well. Now, there was an article that I saw a few years ago in Black Enterprise that really made this connection really real. It says, and I'm going to read the quote, one of the quotes that came out of the article. Other Black professionals may have sound business knowledge and skills, but may lack the personal skills in order to negotiate or navigate relationally complex issues. Meaning, you're on a team, you have to work on a complex issue, and because you're on a team, there's other people there that you have to deal with, but because you lack those personal skills, you can't do that. And they give an example. For example, if a Wharton grad, Wharton Business School, is unable to recognize that his feelings of loneliness impacts his willingness to engage others on a team project, then all may be lost. That loneliness comes from something in that Wharton grad students or that grad that's now in the workplace from their background long before they got into the workplace. But if they didn't make that connection to their feelings of loneliness and how it impacts their ability to engage others, their team, their ability to be successful on a team, even as a member, let alone lead one, you can forget it. It's just not happening. And that is probably why you yet again have been passed over. This takes deep introspective work, right? To really find out, to really bridge the gap, to really understand why yet again your shoulder's not being tapped. Now, let me say this. If you're in a toxic environment, if you are just not in a place that you've done all the things that I'm talking about, and your high EQ and executive presence is there for sure, and it's just not happening, then okay, I completely agree. I get it. That is not the place for you, and you need to move on. But I'm going to tell you that 9 times out of 10, and I know most with all of my clients, it is what I've mentioned initially. It's not the latter. It's not the latter. They get passed over again because they didn't take the time to understand who they are personally is who they are professionally. Are you overly arrogant? Do people see you coming down the hall and they go the opposite direction? Do you work in a vacuum? Are you not approachable? Do you have poor listening skills? Arrogancy again. Do you think you walk on water? You know everything and you're the best thing since sliced bread, right? Nobody's perfect. We all have things we can learn and grow from. And there's so much value in being in allowing ourselves to do so, right? And that self-awareness of which you don't realize that people don't even want you in a room, let alone on a team. Why are those things taking place? This is where it's so important to get 360 feedback. It's so important to have mentors, extremely important to have accountability partners. And then once you get this full awareness, you engage hopefully with a coach or somebody that can help you navigate and walk through all of that, assess it properly, and then put in key actions and tools to mitigate it or hopefully totally eliminate it. So if you are unfortunately sitting at that time of year where you've had a performance review, it's not going quite well, and you're getting passed over again, or it's not even performance review time for you, but your shoulder's still not tapped, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you take my advice, do what I wish Linda had done years and years ago, and properly assess. Do the mirror reflection. Allow yourself to be vulnerable. so that you can be your best self fully and completely, such that there is absolutely no doubt in anyone's mind you are the best next solution. You are the best next person to lead that initiative. You are the best next person, excuse me, to be promoted into that seat. So if there's anything about what I've shared either the other day or even tonight in this session of Being Brown at Work Live that's really not clear to you and you need some additional support, reach out to me. Ask your questions in a DM, put them in the comments, send an email to me. I'd be beyond happy to help drive some clarity around this because there's no reason why you should be passed over yet again. No reason at all. Went through that too many years in my career such that I had to take control and figure out what was going on. And when I did, I was not passed over again. Never happened again. And I guarantee you that when I did the same thing with my clients, and they allowed the onion to be peeled back and they allowed themselves to be vulnerable. And most importantly, they were real. They quit drinking their own Kool-Aid. As I always say, they got out of their own way. Once that happened, the rest was history. The rest was history. So, got any questions? Reach out to me. Would love to hear from you. But until next time, take my advice, implement some of these tools. You won't get passed over again.